Welcome to this episode of Becoming Fearless. I'm sitting here today with Joe. And Joe is a client of ours who has an awesome kind of before and after story. His whole life took off and has changed since starting to work with Fearless. He started, how long ago? Back in August, right?
Back in August.
So about 7 months. So in about 7 months, his whole life has changed radically. Now, I remember meeting you, Joe. It was in an elevator in Las Vegas, and we were going up to do a live event, and you were really nervous. And I remember your voice was really high and squeaky, and you were completely up in your throat, and you couldn't hardly talk, and there's just lots of anxiety running. And I remember that you being that way through the whole weekend, like through the whole weekend of that workshop, you had a lot of anxiety running. But what I do remember, you showed up, you went to the VIP, right?
Yes.
Dinner. And so you sat down, you talked with us, and after that you dove in and you really committed. Not only did you take the workshops, you assisted, you helped out, you dove into the work itself and just kept doing it. And what happened was quite miraculous. In that 7 month period, and we're gonna get to it, we're gonna get to the stories of how his life changed. But in that 7 month period, I remember you were saying to me, you couldn't even understand why women, suddenly there was this period where women just started to like you and they started to show up and you couldn't understand why. Like, what happened? And we can all see the difference in who you're being.
Yeah.
They can see it, but you still weren't accepting it yet. And that's the interesting part. Sometimes our internal reality doesn't catch up with who we're being. So let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit about who you were and where you started with all this journey.
I mean, I was a really kind of shy guy. I would kind of race, and everything I did, I was kind of nervous. Anything I did would really drain me. I'd literally go out just by myself and just have to go lie down and relax after a while because I was just so exhausted from just being around people. People would drain me. And I was, maybe I'd caffeine up or I'd do, some pre-workouts. And so I was kind of amped up a lot and my body was just kind of going and I was racing, and anyone I would talk to, I would race. I would speak so quickly, people would be like, oh, take a breath, sometimes, or I'd just be so nervous around people. I just wouldn't even say anything. And I was just happy to be in some places. You're just kind of sitting there and being like, okay, I'm happy to be at the bar. I'm happy to be somewhere around people. So I was kind of nervous and kind of really shy at the time. And if I wanted to go talk to a girl, if I was interested in her, I would get a lot of anxiety. My body would literally shake before I would even, as I was thinking of going up to talk to this girl that I would like. Or I would think of something great to say, and I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a great line. She'll love this. We'll really connect. And the thing would just come out just so poorly and just land like so flat. It was ridiculous.
So you were telling me earlier about some stories because you used to go to the gym a lot, right? So you have some specific stories of what it was like meeting and talking to girls at the gym, like going up to hit on the girls at the gym. Do you mind sharing one of those stories?
Yeah, I mean, like literally any girl I would like, I'd say I'm working out next to a girl I would like, was interested in, be like, damn, she's kind of hot. Let me go think about talking to her. My body, my legs would shake, and it would just blow me out so bad that I would just be like, I can't even go up and talk to somebody. I would just keep quiet, and then and then the worst was as I left, I'd go home and be like, and I'd just kind of beat myself up a little bit, kind of coming down on myself, being like, oh man, you should have said this, or you should have said that, or you should have talked to her, or something, and I'd just be mad at myself for the anxiety I had in my own body, and not even knowing.
And it's amazing how the mind, when you're about to get, like, you see a girl, their mind's like, go talk to her, you should talk to her. Then you start to go heading towards the talk to her, the mind's like, what are you doing, idiot? Don't talk to her. Then you run away. And then when you get home or later, or even as you're walking away, the mind's like, what are you doing, idiot? Why didn't you talk to her? The mind, that you can't win either way with the ego.
Yeah.
The ego's gonna attack you. And that's the really interesting part. So you were seeing that.
Yeah.
And were there ever any incidences where you actually did work up the nerve to go talk to her at the gym or someplace like that?
I mean, I did, there was this girl that she trained at the gym, so she was always there. So I'd always have this one, what later I found out through Fearless to be like a wanting. This wanting to really talk to this girl, this wanting to get to know her.
He's talking about wanting, and wanting implies lack. And then I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but it's a presupposition, or it presupposes failure to your subconscious mind. I want something, therefore I don't have it. Creates anxiety, creates fear. Now, there's ways around that. You gotta move out of want into a different energy, a feeling. A choice has a different feeling. Deciding to do something has a different feeling than wanting. So let's continue on with the wanting.
So I basically wanted to go talk to this girl at my gym, and she was a trainer there. So I couldn't go up and talk to her. So I took a couple classes. I'm like, oh man, I found a better way in. I'll take a couple classes, and she got to know me. And she literally came up and talked to me a couple times. And finally I got the nerve one day to ask her out. And I would literally say, like, was so quickly, I was like, will you go out with me? Like really quickly, and she had just broken up with somebody, and some circumstances didn't work out anyways, but it did not come off well. And then I was just so disappointed after this, that I, was kind of just down on myself as well. I'm like, oh man, you shouldn't have asked her out, or, I couldn't even congratulate myself on the success of asking her out. I was just like, no, if it didn't work out, if it wasn't perfect, if she didn't say yes, I was kind of down on myself for that reason too.
Yeah. So you literally found a way to talk to her. Instead of walking directly up, you bought personal training classes, which you probably didn't.
No, she taught classes like in the gym.
So you took classes.
Took a class,
okay,
yeah.
That's better. At least you weren't.
So
paying.
at least I didn't pay, yeah.
So you took these classes in the gym to meet her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you worked up the nerve to ask her out.
Yeah, I kind of like, it'd be like, oh, I like your class, that great class, or, whatever. I would just say a little whatever. And I'm sure I was saying it kind of quietly. And it was kind of funny because even later, after I asked her out, or after later, I would see her and try to talk to her. And I think I was racing so much that she'd almost get nervous. And I felt like she would just run away. And I was like, damn, I must be doing something wrong here. Like, she would barely be able to talk to me, or barely, Well,
that's one of the things we talk about here at Fearless, is that your emotions transfer. And so if you're running a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear while you're talking to somebody, and know that she's most likely feeling that, especially a woman, anybody feminine is going to pick up on that really powerfully. So you saw that firsthand, that she was picking up on your anxiety and wanting to get away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I at the time, I didn't have any kind of clue what it was, but doing this work and working with Fearless, I kind of realized, oh, that's what this must be with this girl, and this kind of happened.
So for the bulk of your life, this was your experience with women?
I mean, usually, yeah, basically I'd either, develop something that didn't work out, or I was kind of quiet and I didn't meet women at all. I was barely meeting women at all. Like, I would try to go places. I was like, oh man, I'm going to work out at the gym. Obviously, this is how I ended up at the gym. I was like, I can't get a woman. I'm going to attract a woman. I'm going to get perfect body. I'm going to work out. Give me a six pack. Give me abs. I'm going to work out. I'm going to look great at the beach. Women are going to be coming up to me. And no matter how, I got those abs, I got all that stuff, and it never worked out. Women just never came up to me. I couldn't come up to them.
So you got the six pack, you got the muscles. You still didn't get the girls.
I was still by myself.
And and back that time, you were a lot bigger than you are now, right?
Yeah, I was a little bigger and, working out a lot more
just
leaner.
So people know how you're pretty lean now, right? You're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I'm in decent shape now. I mean,
when you were at your max size, the max amount of muscle, how were you? How much bigger were you?
I mean, I wasn't like I said, like a big workout guy. To me, the key was to get abs, to be lean, to be defined. So it was all that definition, like almost like, like you see these guys from the Jersey Shore, they're not super like 250. They're, decent size, regular size guys. But when your shirt's off, you got definition, you got shoulders, you got abs, you got a chest, all your muscles show a lot better.
So you had all that
at the time. So I was kind of that guy, I was looking good in the gym, working out all the time, 5-6 days a week,
And how tall are you?
6 foot.
So he's 6 feet tall. He's ripped. He's got abs. He looks great. He's in the gym all the time and still can't get a date.
Still, I'm still by myself, like living in,
Okay. And so how did that feel at that time? What were you going through when you were realizing, okay, this isn't working?
I mean, it was just frustrating because there's one thing after another. I'm like, there's got to be something. I'm like, maybe some girl. I was almost like wanted some girl to kind of save me, to kind of fix, help me out here and really like me, and I was like, I don't even know couldn't figure out how to talk to a woman, couldn't figure out what to say. I was like, man, I need to figure out some sort of lines or something that.
So let me get this straight. You were looking for a girl to save you, to teach you to meet other girls, or to save you just to become your girlfriend so you could get out of the game?
I was so desperate and so frustrated with the whole game. I didn't even want to be in the game. I wanted no parts of it. I was like, let me fall in love. Let me find a girl that touches my, people used to joke with me. I was like, I want some girl that touches my soul and that's it. And her and I are it, perfect, in sync, a lifetime of happiness.
Okay, and I have no problem with that. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But is that what you wanted?
At the time, yeah, that's basically what I was looking for.
Now, do you think looking back, did you want that because you just were in this needy, desperate place, or was that something that you still really want right now?
I mean, I would love to have a girl that I was in love with, and we had a great connection, and we had a great time and great sex and everything like that. But I think at the time I was like really just desperate,
Okay.
and I was like, I don't want to deal with women. I can't, how do I meet somebody that I'm in love with, and it just works.
Nice.
And I figured, you see every romantic comedy, you see all these kind of movies where it works out and you're like, oh man, maybe one day this will happen for me, whatever kind of thing. So I was just kind of hoping for that.
So we got the muscle-bound, ripped, 6 foot tall, good-looking guy watching romantic comedies, wishing he had his love.
Yeah. And sad to say, I'd be like in tears crying because I was like, oh my God, one day, maybe, hopefully this will happen to me.
Okay.
I was,
And did it?
It never did.
But you did meet women along the way. You had an occasion. It took, I don't know how long it went between meeting a woman. How long did it go?
Every so often, I would like somehow, some way meet a woman I would like, or be interested in somebody, or, get somebody that would
What's
date.
so often? Every 6 months, a year?
Yeah, I mean, like maybe like every year, every so often,
So about once a year you meet a new
I'd say
lady.
once a year. No, well, I'd meet somebody new, or I have a couple dates, or, I tried online. I tried, like Match.com or one of those dating sites.
You get a few dates a year. You end up liking somebody. But how did those relationships go? When you did get into them, when you finally met somebody, was it the girl? Were these girls you were settling for? Were these girls you liked? Were these girls that were your type of women? What was the situation?
It really felt like I was settling. Like I really wanted a feminine woman, and I probably was really more feminine at the time, more emotional, and had very little masculine. So I would attract very kind of masculine-ish women.
Yeah.
That were the kind of girl that would take control, not really take control, but like be in her own masculine, as pretty strong in her own masculine, I guess.
So you get these masculine women that want to lead the relationship.
Yeah, and I was the consummate nice guy. All I wanted to do was make the girl happy. I was like, basically, whatever I could do to make this girl happy, that she'll stay with me, that we'll have a good time, that that the girl's happy, then life is happy. Or
okay, so you got this woman that comes into your life, and you're trying to make her happy. She's leading the show. How happy are you?
I mean, I ended up the more I would kind of realize that I would get resentful. Because I was like, well, we're not doing what I want to do. We're not going places I want to go. I'm trying to make her happy. I'm saying, where do you want to go? And she's asking me, where do I want to go? And we're just kind of bouncing around, or she's offering 100 suggestions, and I'm frustrated that.
And she's trying to literally, she's offering 100 suggestions. She's trying to figure out what you like.
Yeah.
She's really wanting to know what you like, and you won't fucking tell her, will you?
No, I want her to be happy. So it doesn't. My theory was, it doesn't matter where we are, as long as I'm with you, I'm happy.
How many of you are guilty of this? The girl in front of you really would like to get to know you, and you won't share with her because you're afraid deep down inside. What are you afraid of if you actually revealed your wants and desires, who you were? What are you afraid will happen?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I didn't even, honestly, I would so be into the girl, I wouldn't even know what my own wants and desires were. There was a girl that I dated.
So literally you would look and you couldn't find anything. So the only thing you could revert to, because there was so much fear, was, well, what do you want?
Where are you?
And then you would resent her for the very thing that you couldn't find.
Yeah. I mean, I had a girl that liked MMA at one point, and I found myself watching MMA all the time and really being into MMA. And then months later, I wasn't with her. I was watching. I'm like, what am I watching for? I'm like, I'm not really even into this. I'm just watching.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe this was a kind of thing we had a connection, or we talked about, or whatever. And this just happened to be, my thing. And I was realizing that a lot of times with women, I would do this. I would end up with their likes, or end up liking things that they liked. And then we'd not be together. And I'd be like, wait, what am I doing? I'm not watching. Yeah. I'm watching something. And then I was alone. I would do stuff that I would like to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I've been guilty of that myself. It's been a long time, but I've been guilty of that. And so, what ended up happening with these relationships? How did they end?
I mean, they probably fizzled out. The sex wasn't good. The relationship wasn't good. We weren't happy. I wasn't happy. She wasn't happy.
Did you ever end them?
No, not necessarily. They just kind of ended.
They just kind of ended.
Actually, the last one I was in, I got kind of resentful and kind of maybe did a little, got mad at her for something, and just kind of exploded, and that's kind of how it ended.
Okay. So you lost your temper, yelled and screamed. Like you probably never get mad, right? Most of the time.
Never.
And then so finally you lose your temper and start yelling and screaming. And then at that point she's like, who is this guy? Is that right?
Or she kind of ghosted me for a week. What happened was this girl that I was seeing ghosted me a weekend to hang out with her friends. And I knew this was going to happen. So I said to her, I want to meet your friends. I want to see your friend. And she didn't call me the entire weekend. And I said it before setting up because I felt this was going to happen because we were kind of like on the rocks, not happening.
So and I was felt like, it was going to, so you're kind of creating this in a sense. Yeah, because you're projecting it. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So I was like, this is because it's going to happen. So then when she got done, I'm like, what kind of, you shouldn't do this. I told you I wanted to meet your friends. I told you I wanted to see, what you're doing or, hang out with you guys. And it was like a whole weekend. And I was like, this does not work. Yeah. And I was like, I'm like, if this is how this is, I'm like, we just shouldn't be together or, whatever.
So you ended that one.
So I kind of ended that one. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're growing some balls. Were you working with Fearless at that time or was it before Fearless?
It was actually, I had started, this relationship was so bad for me that I had found the video, I got on YouTube and I started watching the Fearless videos. And that's kind of when I started to find out.
So from this relationship, that's how you discovered Fearless. That's awesome. And then, so what happened when you first got on the YouTube channel, The Fearless Man? And now you're on the YouTube channel, literally. But what happened? So it's all full circle, right, guys? So what happened when you first got on there?
So, I just literally started watching videos and every night it was like me and you would be eating dinner. And, I'd be eating dinner, watching Fearless videos, or I'd be in my car watching Fearless videos. And I was just addicted. Like, let me check it out. And every night, I think I watched every video that you ever did at the time. And I was just going through and I was like, oh man, I didn't see this video. Or I'd be like, oh man, I want to do this exercise in this video. And sometimes I couldn't even find it.
I love this because you were so obsessed with something. You saw it so much, you envisioned it so much that right at this moment, you are it.
Yeah.
You're not just watching it, you are the video. And there's going to be other people out there who are doing the same thing, who are at lunch, in their car, they just broke up with a girl maybe a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, watching you. And that's a powerful message to you guys if you get it. If you get what I'm talking about, that's a very powerful message to you guys. So let's continue on. So you saw the videos.
So I was watching videos and, I would do some of the meditations that you were doing, or I would do some of that work that you were doing as well. And
so you followed along, you went and got the books I recommended, things like that, or?
I said, if you did a meditation, I think I did a meditation on some of the release and stuff. And then I think I tried a tension journal a little bit.
We need to do more of the release
for a day or two.
I think that's very powerful for you guys.
It was really powerful for me at the time. Yeah. And so, I was just and I was constantly trying to be, I even tried to do the highs one day over at the Grove here in LA. And I was so nervous that I was walking around at the Grove and I probably didn't even feel much, but I was so nervous and so I could not talk to anybody. And I made rules for myself that I could not talk to anybody that was a worker because I was like, okay, they're paid to be there. So I made this rule. And that kind of really shot me out. And I was literally walking around back and forth in the Grove and I could not say hi to anybody. I was having trouble coming up to somebody. I'm like, oh man, maybe if I go in here and I try this will work. And I could not go up to anybody. So
you really got to see how much you were holding back inside, how much you were afraid of what other people thought of you when you went out to do that exercise. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then did you ever get to the point on your own where you could do those highs, or did you have to come to the workshop first?
No, I think the first time that I ever did the highs was, I think maybe once or twice I would say hi to somebody in passing, at my gym in the elevator or something like that I didn't know. And I was like, okay, that was my little thing that I would do. And I was like, okay, if I say hi to somebody that's walking by, but it wasn't, it was a very quiet hi too, probably at the time.
Okay, good.
Or if I was with somebody you're on the elevator or something like that, where you try to think of something to say or you say something.
Well, I just interviewed, Chris Alvino, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just interviewed him. He has a similar story as he went out to do that. And this is so common with you guys. You guys go out, especially on your own when there's nobody around. I'm going to do these highs. And they are really the easiest thing in the world to do. But you guys make this story up about people, right? And so Chris talks about being out there for 2 or 3 hours and being able to get out about 5 highs in 2 or 3 hours. And literally he got out about 5. And you'll see the interview if you want to look up his interview. I just did it a couple days ago. He got out about 5 highs, and then he said he got really mad. And he remembers standing at this light, and he was really frustrated, really angry. And he said, okay, for the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes, I can't remember what it was. You'll see it in the video. I'm going to say hi to everybody that passes me as soon as this light changes, as soon as it says walk, and I'm not going to stop. And because he got so mad, he did it. And he said he must have done 100 highs in like 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
And he said he went from 3 hours being able to only do 5 to doing like 100 in 20 minutes. And he said that shifted his whole reality, especially when you're able to do it alone with nobody standing behind you. Because when you have somebody standing behind you, it's easier.
Was it after doing Fearless, or was it before he did a workshop?
It was definitely after a workshop. Probably I'd been working with him because I've known Chris since the earlier days of Fearless. Not early, but close to the earlier days. So that would be my guess right now, but it's all skewed in my memory because it was so long ago.
Because I went to the Grove, couldn't do one, but before I went to the promenade the other day recently, and I was like, oh, let me go see how about doing highs. And I've never felt so open in my entire life. I did 2 blocks of highs, just randomly knocking out people, and I was like, oh my God, I felt so great. I was like so excited. Yeah. And I went and did whatever I had to do, and I just felt so great. Like I felt like I could talk to anybody.
And how did they respond? Because the response,
people were really, talkative and really happy, or people were always saying hi.
Nice.
And always a hi back, always a how you doing?
That means you're more than 70, 80%, you're getting highs back.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of the rule. If you're getting less than like 60% highs back, or at least nods or smiles, then there's something off in your communication. You're making them feel uncomfortable. As soon as you start to make them feel comfortable, you'll start getting 60, 70, 80% highs back, nods back, smiles back, something like that. And so that's a sign you're really moving to the more advanced levels of being able to do this. And at the same time, if they don't say hi back, you can't take it personal, because that's also part of the training, to let it go. And so that person that goes and looks away because they're having a bad day, there's something going on with them, how fast can you let that go?
Yeah.
And that's the key, because if not, that one person will take out all the rest of your highs, right?
And I had a lot of internal oh my God. For me, it wasn't like, it was what I would think. I would say to myself, oh my God, I should have said this, or I could have said this, or that, maybe this would have happened. And that was me. The first thing in my head was, to really get on myself for not doing, as great as I felt. That was the other piece that helped me out a lot, is I didn't allow myself to judge how I did it. Because to me, even, whatever happens, whatever people say, is great. But I didn't allow myself to be like, even if it was great, it'd be like, oh, I didn't get a date, or she didn't stop and talk to me, or I didn't get a kiss, or I didn't get whatever, something you're looking for that didn't happen. And every time there's always something there's always more. So I was like, I've got to stop, and just stop her bothering or getting on myself after these, because it just made me not want to do it.
Yep. I get it totally. So let's move forward with this a bit. What happened next? You came to a workshop, or is that how you came to Vegas, or what happened? How'd you end up in Vegas?
So basically, I live here in California, and the one weekend that Fearless had the workshop, the Fearless Man Live, I was out of town. And I was so mad at myself that I was out of town, because I had to be out of town to go see my family. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do this. And I was watching the videos. And
so the Fearless Man Live is our bigger event. It's if you haven't checked it out, make sure to check it out. We have several going on a year, and it's a bigger event. We really share a lot of these tools in person. So
yeah.
ahead.
So then I was like, okay, well, that's it. I'm like, that's it. If I can't go to this one, I am definitely booking Vegas. Never been to Vegas, wasn't sure about going. I was like, but I'm like, I got to go.
Never been to Vegas?
I'd never been to Vegas.
Lived in California, never been to Vegas. Jesus.
But I grew up outside Atlantic City, so gambling just did nothing for me.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, well, let me so I decided, okay, I'm going to go for the weekend. I'm going to book a hotel. I'm going to go full bore. So there was a VIP dinner with you, and Zan was there that weekend too. So it was you and Zan and Dave, and everybody was there. And I was like, okay, this is the smartest thing to do. VIP weekend, let me get to know these guys, or see what they're about. And the price was such a great price. I'm like, I have to eat anyway. I'm like, I'm going to probably eat by myself if this happens. So I'm like, I might as well.
In the VIP weekend, we cover your dinner. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. So I'm like, I might as well go and hang out with you guys. It's the greatest thing I could do. It's on a Saturday night, makes the weekend, together. And I was like, okay, this is great. And then that's kind of what I did, and kind of pushed, helped me a lot.
And that was at that nice restaurant in the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
What's the name of that restaurant? Culinary dropout, yes. So it was at the culinary dropout. We had that private room.
Yeah.
So we were in a
It was
private
nice.
room.
Yeah, we were in a private room.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't too noisy. And you got to sit down. We sat down with each one of you. I remember we all kind of rotated. And each coach sat down. Zan, me, Dave, and different. And I think Justin was there too at the time. And we all just rotated and kind of worked with each one of you a little bit. It was a really good night for the deal.
Yeah, it was real interesting to get to talk to everybody in here, because I had no clue what was going on with me. What I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, how I came off like that, So, because friends or whatever don't tell you, hey, you're coming off stranger. This is who you are.
Yeah. Well, they're used to you
but
too,
when we talked about being more grounded and more in my body and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, okay, well, this is something I really got to start working on. And I gotta when's the first workshop I can do? And I was kind of in, and I was like, I gotta go after that.
Yeah, so you went full bore. And so he's one of the guys that really dove in deep. You dove in and you started showing up, and if you weren't taking a workshop, you were assisting at a workshop, correct?
Yeah.
And that's what really changed your life, because he was so immersed in it, and you started making friends with guys. You were going out and doing the practices every weekend, right? On a regular basis.
On a regular basis, yeah.
And within And I mean, I don't know how many workshops or what you all took, but what was that transition? How did that transition look over the 7 months? We're at 7 now, and really you started to hit your stride. How many months in did it take you to hit your stride, where you were starting to meet women?
Where I started to feel better? Maybe 4 months. Each workshop or each thing that I did would give me another piece. Or if I was assistant, I would have one huge piece to be like, oh my God, this works. This is how this is working. Or this would just shoot me to a whole nother level from my work. Or, the releasing did a lot for me. Like, I felt a lot more calm in my body. The feeling and movement workshop I did, it helped me kind of feel my body a lot more. So I was really kind of coming to myself. And maybe 3-4 months in, I started meeting more women. I started talking to more people. I started having a better time. I started enjoying being out. I started trying to be a person at the place and at the bar or at wherever I was at, as opposed to just accepting I'm happy for being there. Let me stand in the corner or wherever and just,
That's huge, man. It's huge. You started to actually just you started to be the guy that enjoys himself.
Yeah.
Because in the past, I would guess, you were the guy that was trying to get a girl to be happy. And there was a point in there, you said about 4 months in, where you started to realize I can have fun without the girl, and that's what started to draw the girl in, right?
Yeah, I was trying to get somebody to notice me. I was hoping somebody would come over and talk to me. I would, hoping to try to feel somewhat comfortable, alcohol always helped with the comfortability, but it never really helped, with the confidence.
Now you're not drinking though, right?
So now I don't drink as much now.
Well, when you were going out and now you're attracting, because when we take you out, I know we don't let you drink.
We don't drink,
we don't drink at all. Because you don't grow and you don't desensitize when you're drunk or even drinking. So when you were out there and that 4-month period started to hit, first off, in that period, is there anything you think you need to talk about? Was there any real big epiphanies? What was it in there that moved you to the guy you are now?
I mean, for me, like I was saying before, it was kind of grounding. I was so not really fully present with myself and not really grounded. I just felt like I was so a light breeze could blow me over. A girl smiling at me, and I'd be knocked back. I would almost trip over something. I was so ungrounded that even if somebody was interested in me, I was so nervous. Or if someone smiled at me, I'd be kind of nervous or put my head down or, so stuff like that. Even if it happened, I was too nervous to kind of ground it down and then feel it through and then feel it in my body.
So can you explain, because I think grounding is one of the most important principles, especially for the nice guy. I've explained grounding to guys. We have videos on grounding, but what is it from your point of view? Because you just went through this recently. You've had a recent change. And so for the guys out there that are saying, okay, what does he mean by grounding?
Yeah.
It's such a either esoteric or odd concept. What does it really mean to be grounded? Can you explain it for that person? Not for me, but for that person.
How do I explain it? I guess my way of explaining it is you feel your legs kind of grow, go into the earth. You feel your body kind of all into your body as well. And you kind of, I guess you almost have roots as, energetic roots, so to say. And it just kind of sends some energy down. So then you're not just kind of filling up here and then there's nowhere for you to be.
Yeah, there's a sense, what you just said sounds very esoteric,
Yeah.
but if you use your imagination and actually begin to feel your legs more, most guys that are ungrounded have terrible awareness of their legs, especially the back of their legs, especially down to the Achilles, the bottom of their feet. And so when I'm talking to people, there's a sense of my feeling my legs when I'm talking to you. I don't ever lose that sense. Even when my mind goes somewhere else, it's unconscious confidence that I'm still feeling that part of my body. And I'm not only feeling the legs, there's a sense of feeling into the ground. Now, I'm not saying that's literally happening. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's some energetics at play, depending on your belief systems. But there is a feeling like that. And that's what he's talking about. And, and through a lot of the work we've done, we've been helping you develop that feeling, right?
Yeah.
And what did it feel like when that feeling turned on? Like that sense that, and you got to loosen the perineum, you got to loosen the ass, you got to loosen the legs, and all these, because we do all this unconscious tightening in these areas. And what did it feel like when that area turned on? Because when it turned on, you actually did less, right? You relaxed more.
Yeah. I mean, I felt so much more rock solid. Before, I felt like I said, a light breeze would blow me over, or somebody being anywhere was just kind of, I felt like I was up in my head so much that I just wasn't a presence. I almost felt like a presence, like I'm here now and here I am, as opposed to I'm just kind of floating around somewhere.
Okay, perfect. And how did this change your life?
I mean, it was easier for me to connect with people, and I felt like it was easier for me to connect with people. If I'm sitting here talking to you, it's a lot easier than if I'm over here up in my head or I'm all racing around somewhere. It doesn't work out. It just, I just wasn't someone to talk to.
And why is that? You remember now, it has a lot to do with emotional.
There's a lot, there wasn't any emotional connection. I wasn't having a connection with people. I would think I was saying the right thing or what everybody was saying.
They can't feel your emotions.
Yeah,
It's just,
they can't feel you. You're not a presence there. Yeah,
your connection. So that's perfect. So, so you started to have this whole change in your body. Now, can you guys see that this is a being level change he's talking about? This is how he feels now as he's walking around on a daily basis, not techniques he's trying to run.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say, okay, feel my legs or throw this and do this or this. If I step this way or do this way, because I remember watching a TED Talk that if you stand like the Wonder Woman way with your hips on your hips, and I was hands on your hips way, it promotes confidence. That even if you do this before an interview, it'll promote some sort of confidence. So I tried this for a little bit. And until it never really did anything for me, maybe I felt like a second or twinge of confidence. And I think a lot too, now looking back, I was in a lot of apathy and that nothing would ever work for me anyway.
Yeah,
so then it was almost like a self-defeating kind of presence. And that kind of helped me too get out of my, once getting rid of some of that, letting go of some of that kind of helped me ground as well.
Apathy being like a sense of numbness.
A sense of like nothing's going to work out. I don't matter. I don't care. People aren't going to notice me. Doesn't matter if I'm here or not. A lot of that was happening. So let's take a look at your life.
After you made this change and all these things started to click in place, now you're grounding, you're feeling more, you're not in your head as much, you're listening better. How did your life start to change? What did you start to notice happening in your life?
I mean, I noticed, myself meeting more women saying, like, you're the kind of guy we're looking for. You're the kind of a man.
Do you have any specific stories?
Yeah, I went out one Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday to watch the Super Bowl with my friends. I'm a big football fan. So as Eagles were in the Super Bowl, I'm a big Eagles fan. There was these, 4 hot Colombian girls just came over and they came to the bar. And my friend and I were talking about it the other day.
They are.
And he's like,
Colombians are such beautiful women too. Yeah.
He's like, the bar basically took the air came out of the bar because these girls were just so smoking hot. And I was still watching the game. I was into the game, whatever. And they came over and started talking to me. They're like, hey, is this your name? I had a name thing on for getting into the bar. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And so we started talking. And next thing you know, they're like, you're the kind of guy we're looking to hang out with. You're like a man. I'm like, what do you mean?
They literally said this.
They literally said this to me. And I was in shock because I was like, okay, what am I doing? Who am I being? I'm like, this is me. Okay, whatever, and guys are coming up, talking to them and their friend, there's 4 of them. So guys would come up, oh, can I buy you a drink? Can I run over? And they were, having drinks with them. And I was like, oh man, that guy, are you interested? I'm thinking they're going to run over and be there. And people were trying so hard for these girls. And it was so funny because they'd always come back to where I was and be like, oh, how are you doing? You're the kind of guy we want to talk to. I'm like, what happened to you and that guy up there? They telling me how beautiful I am. And they basically were saying it just was not landing at all. They're I've heard it before. The guy didn't say nothing, didn't bring anything to the table. It was kind of funny.
And so didn't bring anything to the table. I mean, the way I look at that, and you tell me, it has a lot to do with who you're being. We were talking about this being up to change. So these guys are coming over, they're probably doing a lot of what you used to do.
Yeah.
Racing in their heads, nervous, trying to figure out how to get these girls, where you're just relaxed in your body, being more of that centered rock energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so continue on.
They these guys, they buy him a drink.
He's still a talkative guy, right? But he has this more grounded energy than he had before. So even though he's still talkative, there's still that rock energy to these little girls. So continue on. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was like, still talking to these girls, and we were having a good time, dancing around, enjoying the Super Bowl, having a good time, cheering. It was just fun. And we hung out from close the bar, me and the four of them, and all four of them. And then the next day, the girls texted me, and she's like, "Hey, my friends loved you. You were such a great guy. We love hanging out with you. We're going to come back up and hang out with you again." It was such a good time.
Nice.
And I was such in shock because they were like literally like all hanging out with me the entire night. And I just bounced from one of them, talked from one of them. One of them would come over, then the other would come over, then another one would come over. And it was just such a great time.
Good. Awesome. And that's a different story than the story that ended with
the New Year. Yeah, that's a New Year. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into that story because we got another good story too. So you met some other girls.
So one night, a friend of mine invited me over to a New Year's celebration with some girls, and he was like, "Oh, well, the girls have your ticket in their room." So I went over to hang out with them in their room, and my friend, he didn't even come, and he waited till we showed up at the party to hang out. So I'm hanging out with these bunch of girls and, pre-New Year's. And then they had a room at where the party was. So I ended up at the end of the night.
They have a room in the hotel?
They have a room in the hotel, yeah.
Okay, and the party was in that hotel?
The party was in that hotel, yeah.
Okay.
So we ended up coming back at the end of the night, just crashing out, whatever. And the next morning, one of these girls comes back to her room and is just kind of lying, like standing around. And she's like, "My feet are cold. Can I come lie in bed with you?" And I was like, just lying in bed the next,
Wait a minute. You're at the girls' bedroom and you're in their bed and they're not in it?
No, I was just, like.
Was this like a drunk thing?
This was kind of a drunk thing. I'd passed out the night before and I had a little too much to drink and it was just kind of let me crash out.
Okay, well, it's New Year's Eve.
It's New Year's Eve. So yeah. So this is the next morning. Now I'm completely sober now. And I'm even feeling a little hungover. Rose Parade's on. Girl is just like, "Hey, can I lie in bed with you?" So she jumps in bed with me, and I love having a warm, beautiful woman next to me, cuddling up with her. So I was like, "All right, let's just lie here." And I put my arm around her and I start, caressing her a little bit. Next thing you know, you get a little turn on. Things start to happen, and the girl starts, grabbing my cock sitting there. And I was like, "Oh my God." And I'm, kind of in shock that she's doing this.
Remember, this is still a new life for him.
This is not happening to me.
For him, so he's
especially on a girl that I've barely ever met. So then here this is, and she's grabbing my cock, and next thing you know, and her friend is lying in the other bed. And, to me, it's just like, I swear to God, I'm kind of nervous. Embarrassing to say, I was nervous, and I kept having to kind of release some of this stuff because I was so nervous that I was I was in shock this was even happening. It's kind of how nervous I was. So I'm sitting there, and so she grabs my cock, and next thing you know, she turns around and she starts putting my cock in her mouth, and she's blowing me right then and there, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was in shock. This is even happening, and I was like, "I'm all right." I'm like, "All right, cool. This is great." So
welcome to your new life.
It was such a great experience, such a shocking experience. And I'm like, what a way to start the new year.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a fitting way because it kind of represents who you're becoming.
Yeah.
And so this is becoming more of who you are. You're going to get less and less shocks as this happens. You're going to start to take more risk and make more stuff happen because what I'm seeing now is you're becoming an attractive guy that girls want to be with. And the next step for you is going to be starting to learn to lead interactions more into having more stuff happen. There's probably a lot you're missing too.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of opportunities. You're getting a lot more, but you're still missing a lot, and that's going to be the next phase for you. And it's awesome because we're going to be doing a bunch of work with you in Bucharest, teaching you, really taking you to the next level. Coming up here pretty quick in May, but I want to acknowledge how far you've come so far and so fast. and how different you feel. And can you talk a little bit about not just women, but let's talk about your life in general. How does your life feel different?
I mean, nowadays, even my job, I get up and I enjoy going to work a little more. Before I was so nervous that at the end of the week, I would work with a bunch of clients and I was just so spent from my days, I would like literally come home and take a nap because I was just tired from, just kind of racing the whole day. And my body was kind of exhausted. I would always literally take a nap before going to the gym at like in the afternoon.
This is from being emotionally exhausted.
Just like, life, like, I don't know. As I was going through a lot of this fearless stuff and as I was working on myself, I was noticing I would get piece after piece every day. And I was like, wow, I have a lot of fear even just going out into the world. Like it was just unconscious. I didn't feel much, or I thought I felt a lot, but I wasn't aware of what I was feeling. So I guess I really wasn't feeling a lot then. Or I could feel, or I could have emotion at times.
Well, the way that usually works is you can feel a lot, but it's in the privacy of your own home. You have all these emotions, all these feelings that you're feeling. But when you go into the real world or the world with people, you're so scared that all you feel is fear and you start putting up all these walls. And then as soon as you get home, you drop the walls and all these emotions come out.
Yeah.
And that's probably the cycle you were on right there.
Yeah.
Everybody does it a little different. So if you're not quite like that, that's fine. But everybody has something like that. It's a defense mechanism. So you started to realize how much you were pushing against the world. Right?
Yeah.
And what happens if you push against something? It pushes back.
It pushes back, yeah.
And so you're exhausted from this fight. Okay, so continue on.
Yeah, so I was kind of nervous, and I got another couple pieces. I would notice things was happening, and it would kind of shift for me. I was noticing I would be angry all of a sudden for no reason at all. I'm like, why am I so angry? And I was like, oh my God, there's fear under that anger. And it's like more, so I started like releasing some of that fear of just being out in the world, just going somewhere, or even just being around other people.
So these processes,
yeah.
A lot of these processes to recognize these emotions, this is stuff we've been teaching. And so that's what helped you to get it.
I would do like some of the release work or whatever, and then a piece would show up, and then this would show up. And I was just having like light bulbs turned on of what I was doing unconsciously.
Nice.
And the more conscious it became, the easier it became to kind of unravel it and let go of it. Okay. Because if you don't realize something's going on, you're just kind of doing it. And if you have this Fearless gave me a lot of tools to help me release some of this stuff or let it go. Because even if I would have known before, I would have not known how to let it go, Nice. So that kind of really helped me a lot to get different pieces of what I was doing and who I was being in the world.
Nice.
So that kind of really helped me. That's one of the other stuff, like a lot of that stuff can help me really ground myself and really become more of myself, because I wasn't so scared. I wasn't so nervous around people. So
how much has your overall happiness in the world changed? Your day-to-day happiness in life, how much has that changed since you've been?
Oh, I mean, it's night and day, basically, because before I wasn't, even if I was successful, even if I was making some money, I wasn't happy what I was doing. I wasn't happy where I was. I would take me a whole weekend to kind of recover from wherever I was. And I was spending my weekend recharging my battery alone.
Yeah.
And it was kind of miserable, because then I was like, all right, well now here, weekend's done and I'm going to work. Or I wouldn't know where to go or what to do or have as many things to do.
Yeah, so now you have a lot more things.
So now I know more people. People, in Fearless, I met so many guys that I want to go do things and have a great time. It's like, it's such a better experience than if you're here by yourself or a few people that maybe you're busy or whatever. What are you doing all weekend?
Yeah, and it really is. It really is a family.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys really have each other's backs, and it's really neat to see that. And so, in short, is there anything we've missed? Is there anything you feel like you really need to cover that you think could help somebody on the other end of that camera right now?
I mean, basically, to me, like it was the key was to really, watching the videos is amazing, but the key to me was really getting out to the workshops to really submerge yourself or go in 100%, be all in. Because to me, that's kind of what I did. I was like, what's the next workshop I could do? What's the next, where can I grow as a man? What can I do on my own as well with these tools? Because that's basically what this is Fearless has so many tools to help you enjoy your life and live your life and make your life better.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of what it was. And watching the videos, you get a piece here, a piece there. Maybe you maybe you get a little bit, but there's nothing like having the experience and then seeing other guys going through that same thing you're doing, that you're not alone in this, that it's not just me. There's something wrong with me, or there's something that I didn't do, or there's something, some sort of mistake I made in life that ruined my life forever. Or feeling like I missed out. I'm not 25 years old anymore, where, oh my God, I wish, like you're back in college or whatever's happening, where, oh, if I would have got a girlfriend then, or this would have happened then, my life would be so much better. And, you hear people that happened to and their life isn't that much better. Maybe they got divorced.
Think about it. There's a lot of guys who, actually there's a small percentage of guys that really have the time of their life in their early high school, college, 25. They're really cut loose and have the time of their life. Most guys don't. Most guys have a lot of stuff they're still working on at that age. And it's the honest truth, it's a small percentage. And of the ones that do, what percentage of those guys ends up having that period of their life be the best period of their life? And as they get older,
they're looking back,
everything starts to go, and they go, I wish I was living that time again. And what we're saying is you never have to stop enjoying life. I'm not saying it has to be a nonstop party, which is whatever you want it to be. You can be married, you can be in deep relationship, you can be traveling the world, you can be starting businesses, but it doesn't have to stop. You can constantly expand and enjoy life. And that's what we're teaching. Doesn't matter how old you are. You come in here. We've worked with 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds. We've worked all the way down to 18-year-olds. Actually, my very first client was about 15. And he's much older than that now. But his whole life changed, he said, because of it. He became the most popular kid in his high school, from the shyest kid in his high school. So this stuff works. And that's when I didn't have nearly as many tools to give you guys as we do now. Yeah. So with that said, it sounds like you're doing amazing. What's the quick summary of the benefits? Just a quick, less than a minute, 30 seconds summary of what do you think are the top benefits you got from Fearless, as everything we've covered today or anything else?
I feel like more of a man. Before, I always felt kind of inadequate as a man. And this kind of, one of the main things they gave me was kind of feeling like a man. Like I can go out and do things and I can accomplish things. And if something bothers me, I can feel it and let it go and here I am, a solid person that I can be, if I decide to have get married or whatever, I can be a solid husband for my wife, that it's not going to be this thing of praying that this person doesn't leave, or I can go out and meet women wherever I am, or go travel the world and enjoy myself and not feel like, how come I'm not that person over there? How come I'm not this person over here? Or what could I do in my life to make it better? Because I'm doing things to make it better. I feel like I have some sort of stake in my life, or some sort of more, I don't want to say control, but I have some more tools to help my life become a better life and enjoy my life more. And it just gets better and better. It just seems to grow more and more. And I'm enjoying my life more. I'm figuring out different stuff that I need. And the work is a constant work. It's not like it just ends, like we're just all perfect here, but we're all working on ourselves and growing. And it's amazing to see other guys doing it. So you're not in this thing by yourself. You're enjoying life with other people that are on the same wavelength you're doing.
There is this point, and you tell me if you've reached it. There's this point at which it feels like you're doing a lot of work, and I got to change my life, and I got to fix everything, and you're climbing this hill, and it's hard work, and you're struggling, and you're struggling, and you're struggling. And then there's this point where you realize, maybe I'm not there yet, but now I'm having fun. Now I'm growing. Now I'm learning. Now new experiences are coming every week. And I'm starting to have new experiences, and I can see other greater experiences coming. And that's when the work becomes fascinating. And do you think you've reached that point?
I feel like I'm at a point around that, because before it always felt like work. It was just like, where can I get to? If I'm here, I gotta get over there. If I gotta get rid of this, I gotta get rid of this feeling. I gotta, get to a point where these guys are, or where somebody else is, or, I'm trying to get somewhere. And the more I do it, the more I enjoy the work itself. The more I enjoy, getting a piece here, or seeing myself grow, or having success and feeling like there are successes. Before, nothing was ever a success, because I was here and I wanted to be way over here. And that wasn't working, because I always wanted to be over here. So to me, wherever I wasn't here. Or I wanted to be here 10 years ago. And to me, that was another big key is, now I'm accepting this is where I am and I can grow from here and I can continue to grow. Because if I'm always wanting to be somewhere 10 years ago, I can never be somewhere 10 years ago. I can never have my life in the past changed.
And doesn't that make life
and it makes
so much
life
more?
so much more, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It makes life so much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
That there's a level of acceptance
Yeah.
that you come to and you're like, wow, this is great. This is a great time. And I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
And I have work, and I can still work on myself. I can still do more.
And you can keep growing for the rest
And
of
there's
your
always
life.
more growing, yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at this guy down the street. It's funny. There's a martial arts school down the street, not too far from here. Dan Inosanto's school. If any of you know who he is, he was a main student of Bruce Lee's. And he's a legend. He's been in a million magazines. I saw him again this morning. I see him every once in a while. The guy's well into his 80s, and he's still, gets around no problem. Amazing shape, amazing health for a guy in his 80s. He's still living life, still expanding, still doing stuff. Why isn't everybody going for their dreams? Why isn't everybody fully living? Why do we just suddenly stop, or why do we suddenly think this is it because I'm a certain age? I guarantee you, if you are a certain age out there, 40, 50, 60, there's still more life in you if you want there to be. There's adventures to be had. It doesn't have to all be about women. It could be about all kinds of things. It could be about your meditation process and becoming more spiritual. But there's always more, because life is more by nature. And that's what Joe is realizing today. So thank you, Joe. I want to thank you. I want to acknowledge that, all the hard work you've done. You guys can learn a lot from guys like Joe. If you really pay attention to his journey, it's fascinating what you can do in 3 months, 6 months, a year, how much you can change your life radically, even a month if you really commit yourself. So I'm going to encourage you to watch this and really look for the fine points in here. Maybe even watch it again. And with that said, I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to ask you guys to make sure you comment. Your comments are very important to us. Get your comments in there. Ask us questions. Maybe we can get Joe in here to answer some personal questions too. You can ask Joe some questions. He can get in here and talk to you too. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. And remember, only the confident really live. See you in the next video.